Jefferson-Wooden into her running in the middle of the field, but she's got company. Clayton going well to her side, but Melissa Jefferson-Wooden streaks away in the closing stages. 10:61.
She came into Tokyo as the favorite, but she left with something way bigger. A 24-year-old sprinter hit the finish, looked up, and the stadium erupted. The time was unreal, the margin was unbelievable, and within seconds, everyone watching knew they just witnessed a turning point in women's sprinting. Tokyo's National Stadium, the same venue where Elaine Thompson-Herah set the Olympic record back in 2021. 68,000 screaming fans packed into the arena on a balmy night. The stage couldn't be bigger, the women's 100-meter final at the World Athletics Championships, and Jefferson-Wooden stepped up like she'd been waiting for this moment her entire life. Because honestly, she had been. This wasn't some fluke performance or lucky break. Jefferson-Wooden came into Tokyo as the undisputed favorite. She'd been unbeaten all season in the 100 meters, ran the fastest 3 times of 2025, and was the clear world leader. But here's what makes this special. She didn't just live up to the hype, she absolutely demolished it. 10.61 seconds. Let that sink in. That's a championship record. That's the 4th fastest time in history. Only 3 women have ever run faster. Florence Griffith Joyner, Elaine Thompson-Herah, and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. That's not just good company, that's Mount Rushmore territory. And Jefferson-Wooden? She just carved her name right next to them. But the time itself only tells part of the story. The way she won? Absolutely breathtaking. Her winning margin was 0.15 seconds, the second biggest in World Championships history. In sprinting terms, that's not a victory, that's a statement. That's dominance. Now, let's talk about the race itself, because this was supposed to be a showdown. After the semifinals, everyone was billing this as Jefferson-Wooden versus Julian Alfred, the reigning Olympic champion from St. Lucia, who just won the Diamond League final last month. Alfred had looked comfortable through her heats, posting the fastest heat time of 10.93 and winning her semifinal at the same speed. She'd declared herself ready to add another gold to her collection. But Jefferson-Wooden had responded in the semifinals with the fastest time of 10.73, and she made it look easy. That should have been the warning sign. When the gun went off in the final, Alfred had the fastest reaction time at 0.169. She exploded out of the blocks. For about 30 meters, it looked close, and then something went wrong. You could see it in Alfred's form. Something wasn't right. Later, we'd learn she'd pulled her hamstring. But by that moment, Jefferson-Wooden was already gone. Here's how she described it. When the gun went off, I just thought, come on, get out strong. Then I blacked out after that. I was just thinking, get to the line, get to the line, get to the line. She said the rest of the race went like a blink of an eye. And when she crossed the line, oh wow, I won. Because lane by lane with Clayton was 38-year-old Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, the Jamaican legend competing in her final career major championship. Fraser-Pryce, a woman who'd won this title 5 times between 2009 and 2022, who'd claimed 2 Olympic titles and a total of 10 World Championships golds, who'd amassed 25 world and Olympic medals across a glittering career. She finished 6th in 11.03. But the crowd didn't care about the time. Fraser-Pryce received the biggest cheers of the night. Her head bearing the national colors, she acknowledged the packed arena with a beaming smile. It felt really good, she said afterward. Now, I'm looking forward to the 4x100 meters. One last chance at glory, the end of an era playing out in real time. Clayton summed it up perfectly. It was an honor to compete with Shelly-Ann. She was someone I looked up to when I grew up. I always wanted to be like her one day, and this is like a dream come true. This wasn't just about one magical night, this was the culmination of an incredible 2025 season where she lowered her personal best by 0.19 seconds after an injury-plagued 2024. Her previous best of 10.65 came from the U.S. trials, and she just shaved 0.04 off her season best in the biggest race of her life. It has been an amazing year, she said, the words tumbling out as fast as she'd run. I have been dreaming of this moment. Instead of putting the pressure on myself and taking it as something overwhelming, I was just embracing it. She continued, This year has been nothing short of a dream. I have been working so hard for this very moment to come out here. I just focused on my execution, so to put together the perfect race at the right time just means so much to me. But don't think for a second she didn't feel the pressure. It was not easy. It looked that way, but it wasn't, she admitted. There was a lot of preparation involved, a lot of hard work. At the end of the day, the main thing was the focus on my execution. Her approach was refreshingly honest. I came in as a hunter. I have never won a world or Olympic 100-meter title, and I worked for that this whole year. She'd won bronze at Paris 2024 and gold in the 4x100-meter relay, but that individual title had eluded her. Not anymore. At the press conference, someone asked the question everyone was thinking. Could she break Florence Griffith Joyner's world record of 10.49? Jefferson-Wooden didn't dismiss it. As far as world records go, Flo Jo is the greatest to do it. She has put a number out there that's definitely worth chasing. She's only 0.12 seconds away from Fraser-Pryce's lifetime best of 10.62, and she's 24 years old. The scary part? She might just be getting started. But there's been controversy surrounding Jefferson-Wooden's success. Her coach is Dennis Mitchell, who failed a drug test as an athlete and admitted to the Balco inquiry in 2008 that he'd asked about performance-enhancing drugs for Marion Jones, an athlete he was advising. 3 weeks before the championships, Gabby Thomas, the Olympic 200-meter champion and, ironically, Jefferson-Wooden's 4x100-meter relay teammate, posted on social media. Doping coaches should be banned for life from coaching in the sport. She also wrote, "If you train under a coach who is known for doping, you are complicit." When asked about Thomas's comments, Jefferson-Wooden handled it with grace. "I respectfully don't want to answer that question. Gabby isn't here. She's entitled to her opinions, but I don't want to talk about that. I surround myself with love, with people who believe in me, who support me, who have seen me become the athlete that I am today. When it comes to outside noise and social media, at the end of the day, people are always going to have their opinions. They're going to say what they want to say, but it's up to me how I respond to that. And the best way for me to respond is to not respond at all." Jefferson-Wooden is also competing in the 200 meters and the 4x100-meter relay in Tokyo. She's chasing history, trying to become just the second woman in 30 years to win both the 100 meters and 200 meters at a single world championship. "I am excited about the 200 meter now, but I am really happy about this 100 meter gold," she said. "The landscape has shifted. Jefferson-Wooden knows it. There will definitely be a target on my back next year, so I'll just have to learn how to maneuver through that stage as well. From hunter to hunted, from relay specialist to individual champion, from a little-known athlete to the fourth fastest woman in history, 10.61 seconds. That's all it took to change everything."
She fell on the first night, but like the great champion she is, she has risen to conquer all. Denied a golden finish in the relay.
Femke Bol stunned the track world with a move no one saw coming. After years of battling Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone in one of the sport's biggest rivalries, Bol just made an announcement that completely changes the road to the next Olympics. In October 2025, she revealed she's not just shifting events, she is stepping away entirely from the 400-meter hurdles. And not temporarily, not as an experiment during the off-season, but permanently. Her new event, the 800 meters. For many fans, that news landed like a thunderbolt. The 800 is one of the most unpredictable, tactical, mentally demanding events in track and field. It's a battlefield of surges, jostling, positioning, and patience, a stark contrast to the structured rhythm and lane-controlled focus of the 400 hurdles. And the athlete currently ruling the 800, none other than Keely Hodgkinson, the Olympic champion who has already welcomed Bol to the new territory with open arms. But perhaps the most surprised reaction came from the one athlete who knows Femke Bol better than almost anyone else on the track, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. The two have traded titles, world leads, and historical performances. They've pushed each other into the 50-second range in the hurdles, a realm no other women in history have ever reached, and now Bol is walking away from that rivalry entirely. So today, we break down exactly why Femke Bol made this move, how the world is reacting, and why this could reshape the future of global athletics. To understand the magnitude of this moment, you first need to appreciate just how complete Femke Bol's resume already is. At just 25, she has accomplished more than most athletes achieve in a lifetime. Multiple world championship titles, European crowns, Olympic medals, relay heroics, world records indoors, and Diamond League dominance across continents. When she powered to victories in Tokyo in 2025, defending her 400-meter hurdles world title, it felt like the story was far from over.
His training partner, Jasmine Jones, trying to stay on terms with Femke Bol, but in the final hurdle, Femke Bol opens up a massive gap on the American. It's Femke Bol, but versus the clock, another gold for the Netherlands.
Yet in her exclusive interview with European Athletics, Bol revealed what many didn't realize. She had been thinking about this change for almost a year. She described feeling ready for a new impulse and needing something that would challenge her both physically and mentally in ways the hurdles no longer could. After the Olympics, the questions began to grow in her mind. She reflected on the last few years, where she had run times many experts once believed impossible. She realized she had done nearly everything she dreamed of in the 400 hurdles, except the one thing that always seemed just out of reach: an individual Olympic gold. Still, it wasn't dissatisfaction that inspired the switch. Instead, Bol made one thing clear. She wanted to take the leap while still at her best. While her body was strong, her training was sharp, and her competitive drive still burned hot. Instead of waiting until the end of her career, she chose to move now, while she had time to learn, fail, grow, and eventually conquer. She also emphasized that this decision wasn't made lightly. Moving to the 800 means stepping into uncharted waters. She admitted she had raced all out up to 600 meters, but never beyond that final 200. The stretch that breaks even seasoned veterans is a mystery to her. Bol knows she will start as a beginner in many ways. She joked that although she understands the 800 from watching, she has no real clue how it feels in competition, but she also knows she's not a beginner in the sport. She's learned how to prepare like a world-class athlete, how to manage pressure, and how to execute at the highest level on the biggest stages. Every lesson from the hurdles, pacing, discipline, strength, endurance is coming with her. The reaction from the athletics world has been nothing short of electric. Keely Hodgkinson, who currently sits atop the 800 world rankings, immediately praised the bravery of the move. She said she was thrilled at the idea of sharing a start line with Bol. Both athletes share the same agent, and fans are imagining the training camp conversations that will follow, including advice, strategies, and perhaps even a budding friendly rivalry. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, meanwhile, has been quieter publicly, but sources around American camps say there was genuine shock. For years, the women's 400 hurdles has been defined by two names: Bol and McLaughlin-Levrone. They weren't just rivals, they pushed each other into performances once unimaginable. 9 of the fastest times in history belonged to them. Many believed they were building toward another epic Olympic showdown. Now that storyline has shifted. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone recently transitioned herself to new events, winning a world title in the flat 400. And now Femke Bol is gone entirely from the lane-focused showdown, choosing instead the wild, unpredictable battlefield of 2 laps. The rivalry that powered a generation of fans has transformed, but in its place emerges something equally compelling: a brand new chapter with totally different stakes. Let's talk about the challenge ahead. The 800 meters is not just a longer race, it's a completely different universe. Bol acknowledges this herself. She will need more volume, more endurance, more tactical awareness. Her stride will have to adapt. Her race instincts will have to change. She moves from a lane-controlled sprint to a contact-heavy tactical war. Positioning matters. Patience matters. Reading the moves of competitors matters. There are surges at 300, accelerations at the bell, and brutal finishes down the home straight. Bol has never experienced any of that firsthand. But what she does bring with her is a weapon that very few 800-meter runners possess: world-class speed endurance. She has run the 400 in 49 seconds. She has run the 300 hurdles in 36. She can close races in ways that make relays look effortless. That final 100 of the 800, where races are won and lost, is exactly where her strengths lie. Her coach, Laurent Moully, is convinced this switch can work. He believes the transition fits her physiology, her training background, and her competitive mentality. And because Bol has spent years developing extraordinary lactate tolerance through hurdles training, he thinks the demands of the 800 may suit her more naturally than people expect. In other words, her team isn't guessing. They see a genuine path forward. There is also the emotional side. Bol made it clear that saying goodbye to the hurdles wasn't easy. She had a full year to process the decision, to mentally detach herself from an event she dominated. She reflected on her sub-51 run, her 51.5 at Worlds, and her relay medals. She said the 400 hurdles shaped her as an athlete and as a person. She didn't feel pushed out of the event. She felt fulfilled by it. She also reassured fans that while the individual hurdles are gone, relays are not. The 4x400 and mixed relays remain on her schedule. She loves the energy, the team dynamic, and the pride of representing the Netherlands. And she believes everything she learns in the 800, pacing, patience, tactical awareness, will help her become an even stronger relay anchor. What comes next? Femke Bol begins her 800-meter journey in 2026, starting fresh in a field stacked with Olympic champions, seasoned veterans, and rising stars. Analysts believe her early races will be crucial in defining expectations. Will she open conservatively? Will she attack from the front using her insane speed? Or will she sit back and rely on a final straight surge? Whatever she chooses, the attention will be massive. Femke Bol isn't just making a change, she's rewriting what adaptability looks like. And Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, watching from across the ocean, is witnessing a new era unfold. Their rivalry defined the last chapter. Bol's reinvention may define the next.
And Femke Bol, two athletes from opposite ends of the world, bound by destiny and the 400 meters. One, the American prodigy, a world record breaker who redefined what perfection looks like over the hurdles.
Sydney McLaughlin drops the hurdles, smashes a barrier no one has touched in decades, and Femke Bol rises in the gap she left behind. Their paths collide again, and the sport holds its breath. This showdown shifts power, tests limits, and sets up a clash no fan wants to miss. If you're loving this story, smash that like button, drop a comment with your predictions, and subscribe so you never miss the action. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone isn't just good at the 400-meter hurdles, she's absolutely dominated it. The 26-year-old American has won 2 Olympic gold medals and broken the world record 6 times in less than 4 years. At the Paris 2024 Olympics, she ran 50.37 seconds, the fastest anyone has ever hurdled 400 meters. She made her Olympic debut back in Rio 2016 when she was just 17 years old, and by Tokyo 2021, she was already breaking records in an empty stadium. But here's where things get interesting. With the LA 2028 Olympics coming up in her own backyard, you'd think McLaughlin-Levrone would cruise to a 3rd straight gold medal in the hurdles, right? Wrong. She doesn't do coasting. In 2025, she made a decision that shocked everyone. She switched completely to the 400-meter flat race, abandoning the hurdles entirely. When she sat down with Olympics.com after winning the U.S. championships in early August, she explained her thinking. It's very rewarding to step out of my comfort zone. I want to be the best well-rounded athlete I can be, and this is one of those challenges that I think I have been putting off for myself. Now, she'd actually tried this before, in 2023, winning the U.S. title in the flat 400 that year, but then switched back to hurdles for the Paris 2024 Olympic season. This time felt different though. This time she was all in, and she revealed something fascinating about the mental challenge. The 400 is just more of a mental game than the hurdles you would think, hurdling, the steps, but there's a lot more thinking involved in the 400-meter flat. I miss the hurdles a little bit when I'm running. But then she added, it's been a mental gain, and I think that's pushed me as an athlete to have to grow in ways that maybe I didn't think I needed to. Her legendary coach Bobby Kersey, who transformed her into the greatest women's hurdler ever, put it in boxing terms. You've got to go out there and take the belt. It's not yours. You've got to go earn it. And earn it she did. At the 2025 World Championships in Tokyo, McLaughlin-Levrone ran the semifinal in 48.29 seconds, breaking a 19-year-old American record. and she still felt like she had something left in the tank.
McLaughlin-Levrone for history. She's driving for the line, and she's done it! 47.80. No woman has run this fast.
Then came the final on September 18th, 2025.